Less than 2 weeks ago, a 150-car freight train carrying a toxic, flammable material derailed in East Palestine, Ohio. Days after the crash, a smoke cloud could be seen from the wreckage as crews worked to burn off what was left of the gas there to prevent an even larger explosion. Today, a viewer asked, when will we hear something about how bad the train derailment disaster is poisoning people? So we wanted to dig into it. When big news breaks, it's easy to get lost in the flood of updates and reactions. And that's especially true with developing stories like the one playing out in East Palestine, Ohio now. So Casey Decker with the Verified team is here to help us separate fact from fiction with some help of some sources.
Here are some basics we can confirm are true. We know that some of the train cars were carrying hazardous chemicals, including vinyl chloride. Vinyl chloride can be harmful to your health. Short-term exposure can cause dizziness. Long-term exposure can cause liver, brain, and lung cancer. Second, we know that no people died in the crash, but as a result of the chemical spill, thousands of people had to temporarily evacuate their homes. State and federal officials have said it's now safe for them to return, but the impact on the air and water quality is still being measured. You may have also seen posts online about animals being killed as a result of the spill. We can verify that at least 3,500 fish in nearby streams were killed. At least one woman has told local media her chickens died, she believes related to the crash. However, the Ohio Department of Agriculture says they've received no official reports of livestock deaths. So right now, this is unconfirmed. Another viral tweet claims the chemicals moved beyond nearby streams and into the Ohio River, potentially affecting millions of people's drinking water. This claim needs context. Local water agencies along the river have detected small amounts of chemicals associated with the spill, but say so far they're nowhere close to unsafe levels, although they'll continue doing regular tests. There have also been several claims about the train company, Norfolk Southern. One viral tweet claimed the train was deliberately misclassified as non-hazardous to avoid regulation. Investigations are ongoing, so there's no hard evidence disproving this rumor, but there's also no evidence for it. The poster didn't provide any source supporting his claim, and no official source backs it up. So for now, this remains unconfirmed. Other viral posts say Norfolk Southern made a donation to East Palestine to aid in the recovery, but that donation was just $25,000, a tiny amount for a multi-billion-dollar company. It's true that Norfolk Southern made a donation in that amount to local response efforts, and that the company is worth billions. But that donation isn't exhaustive. The company says it's offering $1,000 to anyone who was forced to evacuate, though some people have reported difficulty getting that money. Norfolk has also donated about $200,000 to the fire department for new equipment. Finally, you may have seen claims like these that say reporters covering the story are getting arrested, silenced for asking too many questions. Those need context. We can verify that one journalist was arrested on February 8th while covering a press conference held by the governor of Ohio. He was accused of causing a disruption, which both the reporter and the governor dispute. But no party argues the arrest was because he was asking too many questions. So far, there's no evidence journalists have been arrested or intimidated because of the content of their reporting, and this incident appears isolated.
Fear and outrage is growing among the residents of East Palestine. The head of the Environmental Protection Agency says air monitoring has not been detected concerning chemical levels in East Palestine, Ohio. Roxana Saberi shares how health officials are still monitoring the situation.
We are absolutely going to hold Norfolk Southern accountable, and I can promise you that.
EPA Administrator Michael Reagan called out rail operator Norfolk Southern during a visit to East Palestine Thursday to get a first-hand look at the response to the toxic train derailment.
Since the fire went out, EPA air monitoring has not detected any levels of health concern in the community that are attributed to the train derailment.
CBS News has learned that some of the company's employees had previously expressed concern over the excessive size and weight of the 151-car train. They say it had suffered at least one breakdown on its route before it derailed in East Palestine. Despite the numerous toxic chemicals released, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine now says tests on 5 steel-encased town wells show it's safe to drink their water. And health officials say the air quality is back to pre-accident levels.
No detections of vinyl chloride or hydrogen chloride were identified.
But resident Melissa Blake says 2 days after the derailment, doctors diagnosed her with acute bronchitis from chemical fumes.
They had to put me on oxygen. They were going to wash my clothes because they didn't know what was on me.
One of the chemicals on the train, vinyl chloride, is classified as a carcinogen, and there were other chemicals as well.
What's your biggest worry?
That it's never going to go away. It's going to get worse.
In response to claims the train was too long and heavy, Norfolk Southern tells CBS News the weight was, quote, uniform throughout, with features to reduce mechanical issues. It also says a longer and heavier train used to run the route. Roxana Saberi, CBS News, New Waterford, Ohio.
Ohio Senator J.D. Vance and Florida Senator Marco Rubio sent a joint letter to Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg yesterday. In the letter, they brought up one main concern, the practice of precision scheduling railroading.
I attended a number of hearings at the Surface Transportation Board, the federal regulatory authority, and they had shippers, their customers, came in and wanted to talk to the Surface Transportation Board. And as these shippers said, precision scheduled railroad is not precision, it's not scheduled, and some would call it not railroading. They said what it appears to be is cost cutting on the part of the railroads.
That was Stephen Dittmeyer. He's worked in various positions in the railroad industry since 1960, including several years at the Federal Railroad Administration. He says the precision scheduling railroading, or PSR, including reducing staffing on trains while making the trains longer so railroad companies can run fewer trains and cut costs. This past summer, during a U.S. House hearing on examining freight rail safety, a Federal Railroad Administration representative mentioned safety concerns related to PSR.
We know that the operation of fewer, longer trains without the technology and training to support such operations could affect safety, along with the removal of mechanical forces that allows train crews to perform mechanical inspections. And we know that technology replacing the workforce with technology that's not as effective may not lead to good outcomes.
Dittmeyer believes that PSR could very well be one of the factors that contributed to the Ohio train crash. Another factor could be the brake system on the train. Dittmeyer says the derailed train used conventional air brakes as opposed to the electronically controlled pneumatic brakes.
Norfolk Southern, among others, said, ECP brakes were unreliable and failed often and so on in tests and so on. That is not documented anywhere other than in that statement.
Dittmeyer says when the Federal Railroad Administration tested electronic brakes, the train crews loved them because of their ability to handle the train, handle its speed, and stop the train in a shorter distance. In 2015, the U.S. Department of Transportation made it a requirement for trains carrying hazardous and specifically flammable materials to use electronic brakes. In 2018, the Department of Transportation removed the requirement, citing a study that the costs outweighed the benefits. Following this latest crash in East Palestine, Ohio, there's been a renewed call to look into why that rule was removed and seeing if it could possibly be reinstated.